Show.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Episode 179 of the 580 Show. I'm here this week with special guest, owner of First Called Strength, Mr. Andrew Clayton. What's up?
What's up?
There's a lot of intros I could add. Professional strongman,
Mhm.
just coming off your Rainier Classic win. So, congrats on that. And how did that go? We'll jump right in.
I have no idea how I pulled that off because I entered it like 4.5 weeks out. I was like originally I think it was like 18 to 20 people were going to enter. So I was like, okay, I'll try to get top five. I just don't want to embarrass myself. And then I was like, maybe podium. Somehow I was in the lead the whole time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have no idea.
That show is like I feel like that show every single year has been picking up more and more speed and momentum. And this year, I talked about it a little bit last week, but from a viewer watching at home, I told you I know, but that live stream, especially for being free on YouTube, was
Yeah.
immaculate. It
Yeah,
was
the only thing they didn't have, and I already talked to Zach about it, is they just didn't have the scores up there. But the announcers knew the scores. So like if you just like listened, you would like get updates on the scores. Like my mom followed it and knew everything, you know?
yeah.
So
It was
um
like they did a good job of really explaining strongman in like a
yeah,
smart, in an intelligent way, but also that like my mom or your mom or whoever could follow along,
yeah,
as well. So I really appreciate that. And I mean the quality just from like the cameras where they would cut to like it'd be cool because you would see, you hitting a log, but then they would come to the side and like right
yeah.
up close and personal with you. I thought that was a really cool idea. So man, that
And they
was
did a good
awesome.
job. And also like the commentary wasn't like like when it's normally like a really big field, it's just like very generic, like, oh, this guy looks like he has a big upper body. He's gonna be a good presser. It was like they actually knew the competitors enough, at least in the pro divisions, where like they
Yeah.
gave insightful commentary and they like knew like, okay, he's gonna do this style of press, or he's gonna do, he's a good squatter, he's a good this. And I thought that like added to it because like even I learned about my competitors when I went back and actually watched the stream. Like, wow, I didn't know they knew that much about those guys.
Right. Yeah, I guess when you do a pro-am, it's easier to do your research when there's, 20
True.
guys and you're able to do it. That's what I've always said about like OSG. I thought it would be such a good idea to have like two people who aren't competing that are 80 kg competitors announce
Yeah.
the 80s because they know them. And then,
Right.
you do the 105s or the super, like and have people that really know and actually give a shit because then the people that are paying for the stream and the quality, you know, get that insightful stuff that you get with what these commentators did. I thought
Yeah.
that was awesome.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I also like the squad event. I know you don't like squatting, that
No,
was
I actually like the squat event more than I thought. I actually wish it would be in my next show because I made a lot of progress, and then my hip was just really bothering me, and I didn't want to get any body work done right before it because I was like, I don't want to be like, you know, I don't want to be loose like right before I go squat.
right.
But in hindsight, like my QL was causing me such issues that like it made my like there's like internal rotation on my left hip. It like was stabbing pain. So we're out there in the chairs. I'm like, I don't want to sit down. But then I stand up and now I'm wasting energy. I'm like going back and forth between being in the chair and standing up,
Yeah.
leaning on something. But no, I thought that brought out a lot more effort for me, like having to get better at it. And it was actually like really fun to watch. Because like it was like I was shocked some of the guys how much they squatted. I mean, because we just don't see that very often. So there was like two 800-pound squats, and like most of them were like 750 or more. And I was like, shoot, like
Yeah.
imagine if this was like every other show, guys, it'd be like 800 for sure, everybody. And it
Yeah.
was sleeves.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is it was a real 800. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't, we see in
Oh,
strongman
apparatus.
yeah, when we see
Yeah.
a squat pop up, you have like an axle bar, two side boxes, then they're
Yeah.
actually 6 inches high. This was I texted so many people, I was like, this is how a squat should be done. Yeah, it
Yep.
takes more resources, but also on the other hand, I really think you could only do it at the pro or higher level because at the more novice and amateur level, I think it would be a great learning experience for a lot of people, but you would have a lot of pissed off people getting two
Yeah.
reds or three reds.
Well,
Yeah.
it took a really good crew because they have to obviously like move the rack too.
Yeah.
So like throughout the weekend, like adjusting yokes and all that kind of stuff they had to do, like it was like on point. Like I didn't hear of any guys in the pros that like went up and their yoke height was wrong or like, like every time it was exactly what it was supposed to be. Like, the bar never got misloaded as far as I know. No log had like, oh no, here goes a 45 off the side or 25 off the side. Like,
Right.
yeah, it was legit. I mean, it's been so long since I did a pro show, but I forgot that's like the standard they should be too.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see some pro-ams and hear stories that are like horror stories,
Yeah.
and it's cool to see this team put it together. That's kind of what I
And they
strive
made sure they
for.
had mats for like the whole press area, so you're not like going off the edge of a stall mat.
Right. Right.
Like I was totally worried about that. He's like, no, you're gonna have at least 8x8 of like actual rubber mats. I'm like, okay,
Hell
and
yeah.
then that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I was like,
You
cool.
you know what I just thought about when you said Mats and we were just talking about it. I don't know if they did it by on purpose, but that OG Rainier medley where you would take and I was curious. I want to get your opinion. I want to get because you're the one of the only people that know. But I wonder if they did the horse stall mats where they stopped and started on purpose where they were
Yeah.
because that was so smart how they had it set up.
So technically, I mean, if you really wanted to get like nitpicky, we all should have got like a slide penalty because I believe
Sure.
in the rules it was the front of the plate passes the line. So that was the first line was a white line, very obvious to see, and then the second one was the front of the plates pass the past the mats. But that means you only had like uh probably like 6 inches
Yeah, yeah.
before it
Really
hits
small
like the
buffers
thing.
known for it.
And I reminded some guys Razorkowski tore his bicep on yoke when it planted into mats. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to run that to the end because like what if it like, it hits it and stops abruptly. So yeah, we probably all slid it like the last foot.
Yeah.
But essentially they wanted it to be, if I remember correctly, if you went onto the mat, so like the yoke ended up on the mat, they were going to pull it back off the mat because that's where you needed it for the like to be over the bar. So I
Hmm.
think it was like 21 feet roughly of like mats, and then there was like the 3 or 4 feet between the yoke that made it that like even 25 feet over the bar.
Yeah. It was just one of those things that was like as a promoter, it was so like just how it was like a well-oiled
Yeah,
machine
yeah,
where
yeah.
the yoke is on you set your own yoke height because as the competitor to in your
Right,
loading height because it's you make the decision, right? You
right.
can carry the yoke lower or and load lower or carry the
Yeah,
yoke higher. And then it was on a smooth ground, so you could just reset it so easily. It was just like I just thought it was
yeah.
cool. But what happened with because it was supposed to be a keg and a sandbag, and
Yeah,
they
one of the
alluded
kegs was
to it.
broken, and
Okay.
then in rules, we got outvoted for the 300-pound sandbag. I voted for a keg, but it was only gonna be 290. I wish it was a 350. That might have spread points a little bit, but honestly, I think everybody made the second one. I think.
Sandbag.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure everybody
that
made
was
the
the
second
huge.
sandbag.
Yeah, that was the huge buffer. Like that was where
Yeah,
everyone got hung up.
I'm still mad about not getting the 400. It was just turned differently, and I was like a little bit afraid of falling backwards because there was like only like 3 feet of mat.
Yeah.
And I just didn't. In hindsight, what I could have done is I could actually carried it in my lap to the bar, and then I could have tried to shoulder it there. So then if I missed it and it was still high enough, I could just dump it over. But oh well,
Yeah.
only one person finished it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I got
I was
second.
wondering if you didn't try it at the line because you didn't want it to go backwards and then you wouldn't get any points for that. And it was huge points just to move that.
I think Erin told because she was kind of so she was telling me I think you had to go at least 5 feet
Oh, for it to
and have
count.
it count. Yeah, so I
That's
looked
cool.
down and I was only like one stall mat over or something. I was like, yeah, I gotta go a little bit further. And then I started because I promoted a contest the week before sandbags. I started moving them like I would at a contest. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, they're not calling me on sliding or anything. I'll just keep doing it. And then I hear
Yeah.
the timer, and it's like almost time's up. I'm like, oh, I'll get it to the freaking line. So
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. It was a
I
very
don't know where that came
resourceful.
from.
It was a very resourceful effort by you on that. It
Yeah,
was funny.
if you promote a contest where you're filling and loading sandbags, you get very proficient at moving and adjusting said sandbags.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just about everything. Like I would love there to be at an elite show like moving horse stall mats because I've moved so many
We
horse stall
talked
mats.
about it because the tiebreaker was a sandbag plank where you put a sandbag on your back.
Oh
And I was like,
wow.
that's kind of lame. And so we
Yeah.
were joking about other tiebreakers, and like we think there should be one where you have to like pinch grip the stall mat and they add weight. Dude, that would be
Dude, people don't realize horse stall mats, like a 4x6 3/4 inch horse
yeah.
stall mat, like the real ones.
I've carried them into my house because I have them on the floor in one of my rooms. So I had to carry like brand new full ones in my house. And I had to like fold them over and carry
Yeah.
them sideways. And like you got to be pretty freaking strong because like they'll pull you over.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
It's
you figure, yeah.
every single year, like when we promote our contest, just from naturally moving so many stall mats, that's when like my strain's like the absolute highest, just a day after a contest. It's absolutely insane.
Got to get your
Um,
HRV up quick, move stalls.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But so the top three at that show qualified for what?
So the prize was basically a paid trip to North Americas.
Yeah,
So it's JF Caron's festival is something I don't remember what it is in French or whatever, but
yeah.
that's July 27th, 28th. It's an 8 event show. It's been going on for a long time. I know North America's hasn't always happened, or at least not had Americans, but like one of the events is a max wheelbarrow. And like somebody was saying to me how that's like kind of weird because like in the States we don't do that. But that event's been up there for like decades. And it's
Really?
like 5 to 10 meters and it's like a really high pick. It's like all grip.
So do they? So they just continuously load, and then you just
Yeah.
go until you just can't make it that 5 to 10 meters.
I mean, I remember seeing some Americans, like I know Adam Scher did it, and I'm trying to remember one of the other top Americans at the time. Probably Pritchett was there too, but it was either 5 or 10 meters, and they add like either lead or steel or something in like onto it. And so like the wheelbarrow itself is like 1,400 pounds plus, but like the leverage is not nearly as beneficial as like ours here in the States because ours are really long.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably like 800 plus in the hands, and then you get like one drop. So
Oh,
you're
okay.
going like if it's 10 meters, it's like 30-ish feet. But I'm pretty sure there was a year when it was only like 5 meters. So it was like
Mm,
18 feet.
yeah.
You get one drop. So it's just like max grip. So I'm kind of looking forward to that because it's literally just grip. Like the pick height is like 20 something inches, I think. It's
Mm,
it's it's high.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you'll be there, obviously.
Well, I kind of have to be now.
Well, that's exciting. Anything else, or just kind of focusing on that right now? That's your main.
Um,
Just focus one thing
I
at a
maybe
time.
it'd be cool to do that, and it'd be nice to go back to America's Strongest Man. I mean, that show's not as like popular just because like we don't get invites to Worlds, but I always thought that was a fun show to do, and I think it's cool to have like like on your history, like how many you've done. I just stopped doing it when it started to conflict with like other shows, and then obviously I got hurt. But my goal was to do like every year for 10 years. So I've done
Starts now.
how many have I done? One, two, three. I've done five. Yeah, I've done five of them. I've done three in heavyweight and two in 105. So I think one of my career goals is to do at least 10 of those, just because that's like in other countries, that's like the cool thing to do, right? Like
Right.
Kiełkowski's won 9 times Polish strongest man because that,
Yeah.
yeah,
It always blows my mind. Like I've told other people this that like America's Strongest Man, it always blew my mind because the last couple years it hasn't like carried as much weight.
even
And
though the prize money went up a lot, because
yeah, they had
highest
that
I
year.
saw was 2016, it was 10 grand. And they basically just gave it to Brian Shaw because like he was the only one that got the car deadlift. And then it went up to Bobby getting like 25,000
Yeah.
or something. So I think it's been 25,000 for 2 years. And so that's good, man. Like if you're doing America's Strongest Man and have a sponsorship and do like one other pro show where you win money, like you
Yeah,
just
you're
do like
doing right.
online coaching or own a gym or
Right.
have some clients on the side part time and you got a job.
Yeah, but it's just amazing because strongman is so like I mean it's not I don't want to use the word prominent, but as the sport as a whole, it's very prominent in America comparatively to
Yeah,
some other countries, right? And for that title just not to be like enormous,
yeah.
America's Strongest Man, you know what I mean? Like that I just feel like that should really,
I
really
mean,
be
even 25,000 though. I mean, when you think
it's a
about it, like
lot.
Worlds is what? Is it 75 grand or something?
Probably I think, yeah, I think
It might
around
be up to 100 now, but for a while it
75
was
to
like
100.
72. but then like Rogue, it's like over 200,000, right?
Well, yeah, the Rogue Invitational this last year, I forget the prize money between
Yeah, because
CrossFit
it's
and
like half cash and Bitcoin and
it
whatever.
was
But
oh my, but it was like it was staggering how much it was.
right, so even though it's gone up in the last 8 years, like almost three times, the other shows are still eight times more, just
Yeah.
ridiculous. And then it's just not. And then like the month ends up like it's October this year, but for a little while, they were within like a couple weeks of Worlds. So unless guys like missed out on Worlds or like they didn't make the finals, they would just skip it ASM.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then the other complaint I heard was um, with OSG being so important now, OSG is not like ASM. ASM is like way heavy, it's usually heavier and more like basic events. So like if you peak that and then like 6 weeks later you gotta do OSG, like you're not necessarily in the shape to win OSG. And OSG now basically gives you a direct spot in the worlds. And I mean, it used to be you had to go Giants Live. Now it's just straight. Well,
Yeah.
who knows if it's going to be like that forever? But like,
This year,
how many guys from OSG went to Worlds? It was the podium plus. I think it was
200.
like five guys from the top 10, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So like you get top 10 OSG or go to ASM and maybe get on the podium and win between like 5 and
500.
25,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the guys that want to go to Worlds, like I'm sure a lot of them would pay freaking 25,000 to go to Worlds one time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, it's an experience.
Yeah, it's like it's by far the coolest thing in the sport still. No, I think to be
Yeah.
able to say to be able to say so
Yeah,
I
because
think
no
you're
one says I've been to the Rogue Invitational. No one knows what that is, even though you could
right.
have been $200,000.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Um, well, let's get on to the main. I mean, that is part of the reason you're on here.
The
The big announcement thing I'm most excited for
big news.
is a big first called strength announcement. So you're
Yeah.
owner, operator,
Yeah,
everything in between
whatever.
of first called strength, CEO, whatever people say. But
CEO.
yeah, you're you are an online coach
I'm the
and
guy that started the website that he didn't know how to make. Yeah.
yeah, and and I can speak from experience because I've have been a first called strength client for quite a while, and um um I guess I mean I don't know if you want to say it, if I want to say I know you're getting a new coach
Yeah.
under
So
the first called
basically,
strength
I get
team.
to bring Josh on as a coach. So that's starting this in this month, I guess. We've
Yeah,
already kind of started it, but yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I mean, I think you reached out to me about a month ago, a little more than a month ago. And it was
yeah,
actually something kind of like on my mind anyways, because one of the smart things I did when I made my business was I didn't want to name it after myself. So I wanted to naturally have a way to have it grow. And then at some point you just get too many athletes. Like I just can't physically handle like more and more athletes forever. And then it's just we see these coaching brand, it used to be like it wasn't a real job, like just athletes had, and now it's like true like teams of coaches and all their expertise and stuff. So it's just kind of adding value to what we can offer because now we have multiple people that can respond. Uh, you know, with more coaches, we have more opportunity to go to competitions to help them. And then we get to add in like one of the services we're adding in is like once a month bringing on another coach and just basically going through like what they know uh, on like an hour call, and then clients can be on the call and ask that coach about stuff because like I'm not an expert in powerlifting, but I know expert powerlifting coaches.
right,
So we're just going to bring them on once a month and go over stuff. And I'm not ignorant to the point where like I think I know yeah, like I know I don't know everything. So I'm just going to reach out and get other people to help my clients, and like that's just adding, it's just adding for them.
right. Yeah, I'm so excited. We've been doing this, I think 2 months at least of kind of like
Yeah,
slowly kind of getting me integrated and everything. And the cool thing is, like I said, like I mentioned, I was already part of the team before, so I kind of understood like your expectations a little bit and how, your level of customer service and stuff like that, for your clients on like response time,
yeah,
expectations, everything like that, which my goals obviously align with.
yeah. We were kind of on the same page with that. Like I just don't like leaving. I don't want anybody to have like a bad experience. And so I'm of the school of thought of like always make it right. So
Yeah.
like even recently, like all this competing and like hosting a competition, like all my clients have been cool with me having like not the best update time, stuff like that. But like, if anyone has a complaint or anything, like definitely refund them, definitely give them a free week. Like I've already done that. We're going to do that in this next month. Add a call if they're way behind and I understand their goals, like add a call. It's just, it's not, it's not about the money. It's about making sure everybody, is handled appropriately. Cause like, how would I want to be treated as an athlete? Like I want my coach to care about it and stuff. So
Right.
obviously you do too, and you own a gym, and that's kind of like the whole goal is like to actually help people.
Right.
So it just made sense to like add you as a coach.
Yeah, I'm so excited because I've been trying to take my online coaching more and more serious. And I think with you, I'm able to like the clients that have already come over with me, like their experience has been enhanced greatly with the new app, that they have access to.
Right.
Um, me working closely with you and all your experience and everything like that. I have you to ask questions to. And I'm in the same school of thought of you as I'm like always that beginner mindset where I ask people questions like power lifters, stuff like that. If I have someone that just, hey, I'm jumping in a powerlifting meet in 9 weeks and I'm a strongman coach, I go to other powerlifting coaches and ask
Right.
questions, and that's just an example. Um, but I've been doing individualized programming for a while. I just wanted to take it more serious and treat it more like a full-time job. So I'm just excited to team up and be able to be under
Yeah.
the First Called Strength umbrella, and continue to grow it.
Yeah. That's pretty much the plan. Is I mean, I don't know how long I'll be a, a full time coach. I mean, eventually, I need to be able to compete again. So it would be nice to have a team where everybody's taken care of all the time. Um, and then we haven't even added people really being in like a group message and stuff. But like once we have, because it's only going to expand. It's going to be you, and then it's going to be other coaches, and I mean, once we get more coaches, it's just going to be more people they can ask questions.
Right.
And again, like I don't mind if people want to switch between you or me or whatever. It's just again, it's about getting the best coach for the person, and like sometimes that's what somebody needs. Like somebody needs someone else to think about it. Um, I've never shied away from referring people to other coaches, like obviously
Right.
outside my business because it's only me for a long time because it's just like they only have one career, so I'm not going to hold them back if they want to go work with someone else. And because like even I did that, like I worked with Mike Westerling forever, and like I'll always give him credit. But like I've worked with other coaches because there's at some point I was like, I wonder if there's 1% I can gain from someone else. And, it was sometimes helpful, sometimes not, but it's just kind of the nature of being an athlete that wants to grow is like you're always trying to expand.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, and like you kind of pretty much already said it, but I mean, for example, you were competing at a very high level a couple weekends ago, and your existing team, you kind of put out a message, hey, if anyone needs anything immediately, you can reach out to Josh. And I was on the same page as you before and been briefed before you went, so that it
Right.
was a huge asset to have other coaches. Hey, I'm in a tight spot. What do I do? This hurts. They can just reach out to me. So, no matter what's going on, we have that open line of communication,
Yeah.
even if it's not your direct coach, you know.
Yeah. But also, I mean, I think of credit to all the people on the team is just because it has been a hectic, few weeks. And I think it's just really cool because, I'm not always the person that's played well in a team setting because like I'm in an individual sport, but just to see like the support go the other way, just like everybody's been really understanding and stuff. And I think that just makes my job more enjoyable because I know like, if something bad happens where like, the app crashes or, I'm not, something happens, like I get injured or something where I'm out for a week, like all my clients respect, like this is life, like this is what happens. But definitely I try to hold a pretty high, like I'm mad at myself because, you know, sometimes need to have help from other coaches. But um, I guess I just wanted to say I just really appreciate the team. It's just a
Yeah.
really good environment. I think it's only going to get better. I mean, I can't complain about any client. I mean, the coaches complain about all these clients all the time. And I'm like, who are you working with? Because like
Yeah.
99% of the people I've worked with are like people I've worked with for years and years and years have like no freaking issue. You
Right.
know, I like never had like an email I had to send where I'm like, you are a terrible client. I can't work with you. And I
Yeah.
hear coaches tell me again and again and again. So
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of a projection because some of the things you hear, like just owning a gym, for example, with me is so and so's coaching me. They haven't responded to a text in 3.5 weeks. They haven't updated my thing in 3.5 weeks. Like, I'm like,
yeah.
man, that's brutal. So,
But
uh,
even if there's something that did happen that's even like slightly understandable. I mean, you have to communicate it. So that was the fallback for me, was like always keep people in the loop, you know.
Yeah,
And again, if people are upset with the service, obviously I'm going to refund it. Obviously, I'm going to give them 3 weeks. I'm going to make it right. I think that's always what it boils down to, is just like, if they think they're not getting the value, then you need to give them the value, and that's what I'm prepared to do, is
right.
always give them the value.
100%. 100%. I think too with a group chat, like a big team group chat, because people take pride in like being on a part of First Called Strength, right? And,
Absolutely,
and
yeah,
like being able to just have that and be like, hey, so and so's competing today, at whatever, or we have these members competing at OSG, be sure to wish them luck or
yeah.
check up on them. It's just like that big team atmosphere and
Well,
everyone's got each other's
it's
back.
what people want, but they don't like. It's like when people tag brands they buy, but like that person doesn't really care. Like, I don't want to say any names, but like,
No, yeah.
they tag a brand owned by someone who's really popular. That person doesn't know them. But
Right.
like when my team like watches me in competition, or like they wear my shirts, or tag my company or whatever, it's like not only are they like supporting me, but like they actually like directly support me. Like that's how I pay my bills. Like that's my job.
Right.
So like my success is actually like very closely tied to them being involved. You know what I mean? Like they're actually paying into the dream, versus these other people that like buy a belt from someone that like they don't even know
Yeah.
who they are. Like those people don't actually acknowledge like, hey, like that dude helped me. But
Yeah,
like
for
all my
sure.
clients, like directly, they 100% help me. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And strongman specifically, people like sell their souls for like a 10% off code that the company's still making like a 65% margin on, you know what I mean? And it's
Oh
like
yeah, yeah. Oh,
blows
wait,
my
yeah,
it
probably even
blows
more
my
than
mind.
that.
Yeah. But no, I can't say how thankful I am to be able to be under the umbrella and be a coach, and I'm just excited. So if anyone is in the, market it and want to join, that you can check out our services right on firstcallstrength.com. There's a
Yeah,
drop down menu that just says services. You can click through. Andrew has his coaching, nutrition. My coaching's up there. Book one-on-one calls. It's pretty cool.
yeah,
And Andrew had spoke about it, but the monthly seminar where we're trying to invest in our team, you know, bring on this coach, and even for the individuals that can't make it, because everyone's life's different. That's the beauty of online coaching too, is that we are 100% individualized and we cater to each person's lifestyle, because athlete A, B, and C, they're living completely different lives. This guy might be getting married this week. This girl, may have just had a hamstring tweak. And then this guy may be,
yep.
working 75 hours a week now at a new job.
Well, that's a
So,
big part on like the intake form, is understanding their lifestyle. Like, even myself, like, yeah, I'm a pro strongman, but like my lifestyle is like, it's been pretty busy recently, like always traveling and stuff. So like even I can't adhere to a really strict, plan. So there has to be some flexibility. So like when a client's like, hey, I'm going to be in a hotel gym for this week, but then this week I have X, Y, or Z. I mean, I've had athletes tell me, hey, I can handle 5 days for this month, but this next month I only do 3 days a week.
right,
I like, of course I adjust it, because like that's what they can handle. And they
right,
just straight up told me. So the plan changes.
for
And I'm
sure.
not going to treat someone who's doing the sport as, I don't want to say a hobby, but like more as a hobby as opposed to a
Right,
profession, the same as myself, you know? Like if they have to take care of their kids because they're sick, like I'm not going to be like, oh man, I can't believe you freaking
right.
missed that session. You're not going to peak well for your local show. Like, no, like that
That is
happens. Let's get back
100%.
on track on Friday. Let's get the rest of the week knocked out. So
Right. By nature, this sport is like 99.9% a hobby. You know what I mean? And that's great. It's
yeah,
something to do and add. And
it's a
I
hobby that they can personally get better at. So they're trying like
100% that
to seek personal improvement, but like they're not trying to win some major accolade.
right. But it's also, I think the word hobby has a negative connotation.
Yeah,
And I think that's the worst. Like if it provides fulfillment with you and it's something that you can be positively doing, you could be, taking fentanyl instead, but instead you're training and working hard. And it's like, hey, in the next 3 years, I want to win this local show that's in my
right.
area. And that's your big goal. That's awesome.
I think hobby is a bad word because we assume hobby means it's not very serious. Like
Right.
there's not a lot of commitment. But like hobby just means like it's something you do in your free time, but you're pursuing it like, to
Yeah,
whatever amount you want to pursue it. And for some people, that's, win the local show, then qualify for nationals, and then see how well they stack at the nationals,
for sure.
And even
For
though they're
sure.
getting to a national level, like they're not delusional thinking they're going to win World's Strongest Man,
Right.
and at no point do they say, hey, I'm going to win World's Strongest Man, but that's still important to them. Like they still want to get better and they
Yep.
still want to progress, even if they never progress to, 800-pound deadlift or whatever number out there, they're trying to get their personal record.
Right. Yeah. No matter what level you're at, it matters. And like to each individual, it matters the same no matter what level they're at. And I love that,
Right.
that's
And,
the beauty of
and
it.
they're all investing the same, right? It's the same cost for everyone. So
Right.
like, whether you're trying to compete, like, there are some people on the roster that, we just had a Summer Johnson break the world record in the
Right.
82s, like she's trying to be like a top professional strong woman, but like I have people that are, like you said, trying to win their local shows and they're investing the same amount into their coaching. It's just, some of them might have prize money to win at the end and other ones just have the personal benefit of hitting a record. But I would say, hitting that world record probably feels the same as all the other people, hitting a personal record in the gym. It's a accomplishment that at one point was not possible, and now it's possible.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I love it. I will say, like anybody that is thinking about joining the team, Andrew, not to boast about him too much, but he's been in the sport basically as long as he possibly can be for a 31-year-old. Like
yeah,
as and he has seen it and basically done it all, besides a couple goals that he still
yeah,
has.
couple,
And we'll talk about that, I'm sure, later on another day. Um, but he's such a great resource, and fellow competitors and coaches that I really respect have, when I tell them I'm coached by Andrew, whatever, wow, that guy's so prepared at this show. This guy is, treats it like as a professional. This guy does this. A lot of people learn stuff from Andrew, and I know I have as an athlete and as a coach. So it's just a fantastic resource to have, and I'm talking about top level competitors that have went out of their way and told me this when they know I have
that's
worked with
cool.
Andrew. So it's a fantastic resource to be on the team, to have someone that's been doing it for over half their life, you know,
Yeah,
and it's their whole
yeah,
life.
pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. Tyler
I
Tyler
should be good
Kaczorski,
at it by now.
yeah, Tyler Kaczorski and I talk about you all the time, like how it's you're just like just so invested and crazy about it, and it's in the most positive way
Right,
possible,
right,
dude.
right.
So I can attest, and obviously I'm invested more than ever now. So
Yeah,
um
you're kind of stuck.
yeah. And and I didn't even mention it when we came up, but we have an intake. You mentioned the intake form, and I
Right.
think that intake form is so important with online coaching because it's something to reference back to all the time. Like, hey, what does this guy or girl have access to? Can I put a sandbag in? When do they have
Yeah,
access? So we talk about previous injuries, stuff like that, so that we can always keep in mind like that we are 100% individualizing for you.
yeah.
So it's
Well, that's what is difficult in strongman is all the different contests. So I know we went over like, you know, how we have the notes and stuff for everyone, but even now that's something that I'm improving. With obviously more communication through WhatsApp and stuff is just trying to stay up on top of like, what are your weaknesses for this show? What do you have access to? And constantly updating those notes. And don't get me wrong, like I still make mistakes because it is a hectic sport, like every show is different events. But I think that's one area that people kind of overlook is they assume person has access all the time, or they only prepare for one show at a time, so they don't overlap shows. So that like they go like 8 months without doing Atlas Stone, and then they got like three shows in a row with an Atlas Stone. It's like, oh,
yeah.
that's not very good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you're from the old school where like a local show was like 8.5 hours away. Like you're like, oh man, that show's only 6 hours away. That's like
yeah.
really close. And
My
now,
closest show I ever did, I think, was Orlando. It's like 2 hours away, but I think that was only like once. Pretty much the standard was like 4 hours, I think.
yeah.
Because I
And
went up to Georgia just as much as I went down the Florida, like in Florida.
yeah, yeah. And I think my point being is people are more spoiled now with access to equipment. I know you can probably attest to
Yeah, for
that, where
sure.
used to have to do some probably crazy stuff, but some people still don't have that access. Like it is the sport of literally lifting odd objects and weird stuff. So, you take some people take for granted what their clients have.
Right.
I'm working with a new client right now, and he's doing his first nationals at over 50 years old. And he basically has a Bowflex thing in his house with a weird loadable barbell and a homemade yoke and some homemade stones. And it's fun and challenging at the same time.
Right. It's
Awesome.
trying to change, it's trying to train the capabilities and trying to check all the boxes without like directly having to implement. Like, how do you get better at yoke if you can't do exactly a yoke? Like how do you get the core strong enough? Like, how do you get them used to be able to like absorb load of walking and stuff? So it's like figuring out which, I don't want to say accessory exercises work, but it's like figuring out which things
Yeah.
have the best
It's a
carryover.
huge puzzle, right? That's
Yeah.
the fun part. You
Yeah.
know,
Always a puzzle.
Yeah. And it's always a moving target, right? So it's like this show we did this, but it ain't gonna work for this
Yeah.
show. So, and the other thing, the last point I want to make about coaching, for me, the thing that I've always enjoyed with it is like and I'm not a therapist and I hate to say it like that, but I like the psychological side of it where I get to talk and I get to coach people to their how they respond. Like their response I like to morph and talk. This person may need to just tell me to like, well, dude, just do it,
Yeah.
and then this person needs maybe more attention in a different aspect. I like that psychological stuff where I can really be there for my clients, be a shoulder to lean on, someone to talk to. Hey, this isn't going well with work. What can I
Right.
do? Stuff like that. That's what I love about it. And
Well,
I,
there was just a coach that posted about one of the things they struggle with is like having like a lot of empathy for people because like they just always are going to do it. They're just like really in it. And
Mhm.
like even myself, I'm not always really in it. It's hard to stay motivated. I mean, I've been doing it for 15 years, and getting hurt and then not getting invited and certain things happening. It's like it's not like a straight path.
Right.
But this is probably like the most empathetic role I have in my life. So like I have a lot like it comes very I don't want to say naturally because I've like trained myself to be like more understanding too, but that psychology part is like super important for me. So like some of the strong athletes, like it's really tough for them because they have to be strong athletes all the time. So like they need someone to like say, hey, I feel like crap. I don't feel strong today. And then you're like, hey, like I can really change the course of this individual's like week or month of training by just telling, hey, like, you got this, or like we can adjust this, or we can do this. I mean, I just had an athlete ask for kind of like a pep talk for the competition because they're nervous about like they've been training in a suit and now they're out of a suit for a deadlift and they haven't hit like a certain event a certain number of times. And it's just kind of like reminding them like, hey, like how you feel on contest day doesn't matter. Like you're going to be prepared to perform. You've executed before in the past. Like it just be confident it's going to be there. And I think that's something that like a lot of pros have is just they have like no emotional attachment to how they feel on contest day. Because like
Right.
I was just saying for my last contest, I felt better than I felt for Giants Live, but I remember distinctly like waking up for Giants Live and feeling like utter garbage. And I went down to eat breakfast and someone asked me how I felt, and I was like, I feel fine.
Right.
And I was lying. I like barely ate half my breakfast. I felt like I slept terribly, like nerves and like high blood pressure and just like freaking out. And then I was obviously strong that day. I mean, strong enough to get hurt. So
Right.
like it's one of those things where it's like letting people know it's okay to not always feel great and
Right.
but
Yeah.
also being understanding of it, right? Like just
Right.
because they don't, you don't want to just be like, oh, I don't care if you don't feel good, just go do it.
Well,
But
yeah.
like, if somebody needs a rest day, like one rest day to mentally get back on track is such a small investment to like telling them to suck it up, and then they have a terrible week, and then they spiral, and then they quit, and then they take 3 months off.
Right.
You know, I
Well,
mean,
yeah. But the beauty of it is that it's individualized coaching and everyone responds to diff
yeah,
to a different coaching style. And being able to like be fluid like that, like I think you and I both can be, is I think a huge asset. Some people are raw people, some people are, need a little bit more of a shoulder and everything in between, and
yep. And
it's
some need flexibility. Some need to have, even if it's just one or two exercises a week. Like I just gave a client an option to pick like a deadlift variation in a workout. And I was like, pick a variation you think is challenging that you need to work on. And I gave him like the RPE to use just because we're in a like where we're at right now, we're not really focusing on deadlift. So like if that uh option I gave him allowed him to mentally tune into that session a little better, unless he picks something like really stupid for a
Yeah.
variation, like an 18-inch max deadlift or something with like bands and chains and in a suit, like it's probably going to make him better. It's probably
Right.
going to make him worse. It's probably not going to make him worse. Like even if he picked one that wasn't the best, because he's putting in effort and he's trying hard.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm excited. I don't think there's anything more else to say. I think we said it all, you know? If you,
Well, I thought we were going to touch on the contest because next year we're going to
oh
have the
yeah,
first
no,
Cold
no,
Strength Classic.
I meant as far as
Oh, okay.
I meant as far as the services for
Oh
first
yeah,
call
yeah,
strength.
yeah. So we
Um,
do obviously individualized coaching. The online calls are really beneficial. So I have a lot of people call who work with other coaches because like one of my specialties is like the intent and like how to prepare for certain events. So that's something that people do maybe like once a month or every couple months. Uh, I think like I would recommend to people if you're preparing for like a high level show. One of the things I'm good at doing is like running down the list and telling you where you're going to lose points and where you're going to gain points and like how to game certain things. So you just need to have one call of that. It's always recorded. I usually type up a Google document as you go. So essentially, you leave the call with the whole recording, so you listen to whenever, and my notes. And obviously, I encourage them to take notes. So you essentially get a resource from the call. It's not just a call.
right.
So that's huge. I do in-person training for people who are like, where I live. I live in Jacksonville, Florida, but that's something you get to train in my private facility. It's air conditioned. I have all the equipment. I actually just did one today. So those are some things that people have options for if they're not either they're doing their own coaching or they're coached by someone else. I have no problem doing an online call or an in-person session with someone who who wants to brush up on an event.
Right. Well, yeah, we're excited. Go on to firstcallstrength.com, select services. I mean, there's like a home things you can read about Andrew and myself about with
Yeah,
coaching, the merch, everything like that. So, yeah, check it out. I'm really excited to hopefully pick up some more clients and be able to continue to, grow this thing. So,
yeah. I
yeah.
think our goal is to be able to get more clients at those high level shows and be able to be there and help them out. I think
Right.
that's like OSG,
Like
I know
I
the
think
OSG Southwest Regional is like 45 minutes from me, so I plan to be there.
yeah, I think
Probably
like
OSG.
like USS Nationals in future years like 2025, 2026 like
Yeah,
it's a very obviously I think it's the biggest show in the US as far as volume. So being out multiple coaches there, even if Andrew has 11 clients there and I only have 2, I'm able to be a lending
right.
hand and help because we're on the same page with everything and
It helps a
I
lot in warm-ups. It helps a ton in warm-ups. Like I just
yes,
had some clients help me at Rainier, but just like, having those people load, having them load the weights, uh, having them hold stuff, having them get stuff, I mean, I'm an athlete, so I kind of know what they need. So
right.
always
For
having
sure.
water by me, always having chalk by me, always having a sweat towel, like those things need to be with me all the time. Being able to watch the clock and see how long they have till they gotta go up. Those are things that are going to be really beneficial to our clients when we're in person at these higher level shows.
Right. For sure. And you just ran your first show as a promoter, so you've done that. You do the coaching,
Yeah.
athlete, obviously the longest, and now you're a promoter officially. So, how did it? It's called the First Called Strength Classic, and I'm looking forward to hopefully being there next year on site. But
Yeah.
you want to talk about it a little bit,
Yeah.
and
So
kind of the future plans is my big thing I want to talk about.
yeah, so it's April 27th this year. We had 30, I think it was like 35 people, and then we ended up like 31 or 32 actually do the whole show. Um, Indoor venue, all brand new equipment, all calibrated weights. Ran pretty well. I mean, there's a lot to learn, obviously, once you do your first show, but I mean, I was surprised. Like, we ran within 15 minutes of expectation, actually 15 minutes faster. Everybody was out of there with awards, with and the raffle and the photos by 5. It actually started at like 9:30, so it wasn't super early. You had to get up. In the warm up area, we had all the equipment they needed to warm up. Um, on the floor was just the athletes, very OSG like. But my goal next year is to have a little bit better venue. There's a PSL qualifier invite, possibly get more than one, and possibly add other things to that. There's definitely gonna be prize money. It's gonna be an unsanctioned show. So my goal is to have it be one of the heavier shows in Florida, but offer prize money. Um, and there's some thought of doing a lighter, more like novice based show or more like intermediate show in the fall. So the classic one, I want to make the heavier one. So this year is a little lighter than I wanted just because first year, but it will eventually be comparable to like Strongman Corporation Nationals weights, I think is the goal. And space it out well so people can do so there's Florida's Strongest Man is our heaviest one. So they can do that. They can do my show and they can pick other shows throughout the year.
Right. No, that's cool. I think I tell promoters like, and I'm by no means an expert. I just try to learn every single time we do it. But every single time is gonna feel like Murphy's Law, where like whatever could go
Yep.
wrong went wrong, but you learn from it, and then as long as you care, I think that's like the greatest trait in a promoter is like I'll do a show locally if I know the person cares that's running it. Because
Right.
9 times out of 10, it's gonna run better than the other shows, you
Yeah.
know.
I'm not gonna like I'm very much like what does the athlete need? So doing like the sponsorships and like, getting the shirts printed and the banners and all that kind of stuff was a little bit hard for me. But like every event, like the athlete was safe. Like there
Right.
were collars on things. It was all professional made. There were plenty of spotters. It's indoors, so very controlled environment. We had like one injury, but it was like I think he pulled his lat or something, which was already kind of bothering him. So very minor things happen. Um, but yeah, like I'm looking for like no, no one's like falling off the back of the platform because we're using only stall mats. There's 8x8 platforms. All the weights stand the bar, the hold duration of the minute. Those
Yeah.
things are like if that goes wrong, I will be furious.
Yeah,
Like
right.
those are things I will not tolerate happening at my show.
Well, I work in an industry and I work in health and safety, and I always tell people like the way some of these people run shows would be like if OSHA was to show up and it was a workplace, everything would get canceled, like
Yeah.
everything. And I think that does help me looking at it from that vantage point because some of the
We
stuff you
had one
see,
like semi-dangerous event because the Ukrainian they had to be on top of jerk blocks. Luckily, they were secured. We had spotters. We had a wall behind them. But it's funny because my friend John helped promote it, and I don't remember what the code is or whatever. But like he works construction, and I guess it's after 6 feet you need a
yeah, that's
harness.
construction. Is the general industries you got to be tied off after 4, and then construction 6 feet. That's
Yeah.
for fall
So
protection.
so either way, we were good because I think the jerk blocks were 47 inches.
Oh yeah, so
So
you're perfect. 48's
yeah,
what
so
I live
like
by.
so ironically, even though it was like kind of a little scary to be up that high, I'm sure,
You're still legal.
but we disallowed the figure eights, so they can't be strapped in. We had a person per side and the front judge, and then the wall behind them. I think only one or two people kind of end up, hitting the wall behind them. But like, yeah, that in the future we'd probably test a little better, probably make it a little bit safer. But everything else was,
So
pretty safe.
I have two questions about the show and the future of the show. Um, will the PSL invites like will they is it just for 105 or is it the corresponding classes? If
So right
specifically,
now, I just asked Tyler. Like for sure the 105. It just kind of depends on which class I decide to have in the show. It it's like I want to bring more strongmen to Jacksonville because Jacksonville, Florida doesn't really have anything. But at the same time, like I can't run a novice show and a pro show at the same time, right? It's just not
right?
feasible. It's hard to run those two classes together. So it's going to depend on like how heavy I make the show. But I would like the classic to be heavy and like less total divisions, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
no
I'm
more than
saying
like
like
three per
yeah, like
three
do
per
80,
gender.
90, and 105 and a super heavy. Obviously, PSL doesn't have a super heavy, but like
Yeah.
would the 80 winner get an invite 90 and a 105? Would that be
Yeah,
a
so we would still
cool?
discuss that. Like I mean, not that I only care about 105, that's where I came from. So I was
Yeah,
like, I at least want the 105. But I mean, if I have 82 kilo women that want to do it, like
right.
I want to put out a good show. So it'd be cool to like, you know, if there's people that can break records, have that in the show, things like that. Because I brought out people just to deadlift in my
Yeah.
show. I had Shane Hunt come out. He's totaled 22 something or 23 something. And he pulled a deadlift at intermission. So I got him an Airbnb, and he's all set up. So I mean, I'm willing to pay the money to get the people out there and, you know, make things happen because that's what I would want to have happen if I was an
Right.
athlete, right? Like
For
I
sure.
want entertainment and I want there to be big lifts and all the big guys and stuff like that.
Yeah. My other thing to close it out was I want unsanctioned to kind of be the way that strongman goes to, and I would do it if I knew people would sign up, but people, so I
Right.
think I don't know. I think unsanctioned might be the future moving forward because people, realize they're not getting as much out of some things as they are, but who knows?
I think the unsanctioned will go well for if we do one in the fall. Um, because I'll make it light enough to where it's not something you need to train 8 to 12 weeks for. And it'll be fun. My initial thought is to do it with static monsters, and just do those as the first two events and then add
Yeah,
three more after it.
that's cool.
So that's like my initial thought because that's like literally exactly 6 months after my show. So it evenly spaces them. But if it's not that, it will be something preferably 5 events, kind of fast paced. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I want to have the big show and whatever, but I do want this area of Florida to get more strongmen, like real strongman competitors. It's this oversaturation and stuff is great, but there needs to be like more local shows, like by me. I mean, it's one of the
Yeah,
biggest cities in the United States.
yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah,
Well, that's cool. Well, I think we talked about it all.
yeah.
I'm excited and like I said, go to firstcallstrength.com. We're here to answer any questions, help with whatever. And if you're watching on YouTube, Andrew's Instagram's right up on the screen, but make sure you check him out, Running Strongman, First Called Strength. Make sure you're following us on everything. So
And then the first called Shrink Classic is also the contest page. So if you want to
yeah.
follow that for any updates on that contest as well.
Awesome. Well, Andrew, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Excited
absolutely.
to be working with you, and I'm just excited to see where we can kind of take this thing.
Same, same.
So awesome. We will talk to everyone next week for episode 180. Thanks, guys.